How we doing, guys? We're gonna get started here on this tree of life. I decided to use one of these boxes from those. I took that styrofoam out of here. I'm just gonna build up on the little where the hinges were. This is all gonna get painted. Right now I'm just working on the tree to get me proportion wise. Oh shoot. Stupid computer, I forgot. My Wi-Fi out here comes and goes. Yeah, what we're gonna do is, all I did was take some wire. This is just aluminum wire. I mean, you can use any kind of wire. Aluminum wire is just softer. It's easy to bend. It's like I said, the electrician left me a bunch of it, so I just use that. You could probably go get some art wire, I'm sure, or whatever's laying around. You can find wire all over the place. But just get a basic shape. As you see, I mean, I just got some limbs going on here. We're not looking for branches yet. These are just the limbs, the major limbs that are going to be out. And then what we're going to do is, as we go through, we're going to paper mache branches into it as we layer them. And it makes it easier that way than trying to put all these on here and then work around each one of them. The easiest thing I found is, once you start to wrap your paper mache, you get a couple layers on here and then you just know about run another branch. And I'll cut these smaller. Oops, I dropped it. And we'll cut these smaller. I mean, I have a couple pieces here. And what I do with this then is, this is some foil I found laying here in my box. Normally I get a roll. I don't know if I have any more. So right now I'm just going to use what I got. So then we take this and we start to wrap this in foil. The reason we wrap this in foil is it gives it a little strength and it starts to bulk up our tree. What I like about foil is you can sort of squeeze it and it gives it contour. It starts to give it shape like a tree. It gives it that barky look. Yeah, that's like really small yet. So we got to make this thing about that big around. It's going to be humongous. Because this here eventually is going to go flatten down and it's going to look like a big base of a tree, and then these are going to be big roots which will lead out to little roots in here, which we're going to detail them in afterwards, and I'll show you guys that. But I'm going to do just little segments here of what I do, because it'll take hours for you to sit here and watch me do each single piece and wrap each single piece. I'm just going to tell you guys what I'm doing and how I got to what point, and that'll give you guys the basics if you guys want to do one or try one. Like I said, it's just about wrapping the foil. We're going to take this piece that's got a slit in it. And see, this here just starts to help hold all my things together. Yeah, it's not hard. I mean, it's not rocket science here. It's just the foil helps wrap it and starts holding things in place so they don't move around anymore. And then, like I said, it gives you texture and bulk. And then this is all going to get paper mache at the end, which I'll show you guys. I found this muffler foil tape that I got too, so I'm going to use some of that, which will save me because the foil wants to come apart after a while, and this here has a sticky back, so I'm going to take some of that and use that to help secure it together and hold it and give me some bulkiness too. What I'm going to do is just start wrapping this here with some layers of paper in between, and then that way I can start getting some bulk out of it and start building that up. Once we get this built up, then we'll start to work upwards, start to do the branches. I mean, these might not even be that long. I may end up snipping these, I don't know. Those are just basic for now to start. I have a lot of stuff here that I'm going to use once we get this thing painted and then paper mached. Then I'm going to get my airbrush out and I'll show you guys how I did the colors. And then as you're paper macheing, we're going to incorporate lights, which is going to light the whole tree up. Yeah, it's going to be cool. I love doing these. They're fun. They helps get you out of whatever mood you're in and get you in. If you're in a bad mood, do some art. Art always brings you out of a bad mood. No matter how bad things are, do a little art. You'll forget about some of that for a minute. At least let your brain recoup and restart. And then you can always go from there. Gives you a little more level-headed thinking. That's how I do it. But yeah, for now, we're going to keep doing this. Let me get some more layers on here, and I'll bring you guys right back, and we'll keep doing this later. Okay, guys. Now I've got this wrapped here in some foil. We got a little more bulk to it. I took some of that foil tape and I took it and just wrapped it around these. Now these gave some sturdiness to it. Now she's starting to hold together a little bit. Hang on, I'm chewing. Sorry. Now what we did is we took some brown paper lunch bags like this, and I just ripped them into pieces. Now I'm taking them and ripping them down into 1-2 inch strips. And I took some glue, and you want it like really runny. I mean, way more water than glue. That's even a little thick yet, but I got it in there so I can add to it. And then a soft brush. Because what you're going to do is you're going to take that paper and you're going to glue it on here, and you're going to take that brush and you're going to press that into here. But by being wet and then the glue, just going to be in layers now. This is where I'm going to slowly build up my texture and my thickness to my tree, and I'll start bringing my branches out. So let me show you guys what I'm talking about. I take a little bit of glue and water, paint it on here. That's why you want the brush. You're not going to do the paper. In fact, I'll move this out of the way for now. I'm going to work on this. And be generous. Don't be afraid. The wetter the paper gets, the easier it's going to be to work. Sorry, I know I shouldn't chew during this, but I do. And then we take our paper and wrap it around. There's no special way to do this. All you're trying to do is get that paper on there for a minute. Now it's not going to stick because that's wet and the glue's not tacky. So that's where you're going to take your glue and water. Now we want this paper to be saturated because that's what's going to make it soft and workable. So we're just going to stick this all nice and wet. That moisture that's in there, so you can see it changing color. It's getting darker. And all I'm doing is holding it into place till it starts to shrink a little bit and get tacky. And this is all just to build up. Put a little bit under the flap, bring you down. And like I said, you really want this wet. It's paper mache, guys. I mean, remember the days of that? That's all you're doing. The brown paper just works really good because it's sturdy. And it's going to take a little bit. What you're going to do is you're going to put these on, and as they start to dry, you just take your fingers and you're going to mold them. You're going to get dirty and sticky, so if you don't want to be all sticky and dirty, you can try gloves. They may stick to this and may give you more problem. I don't care about the good dirt or the glue. So now this is just layer upon layer. That's all you keep doing there. I'm just going to keep building this up with the paper, and it's going to give me my texture at the same time. And you'll see as I go, by crinkling that paper up, and when that shrinks and dries, what happens is, I'm going to crinkle these and cut now. I did. I crinkled the paper last time. You can do that when you get closer to the last pieces, and it made it more pliable. It wasn't so stiff. I just remembered that. And then you're just going to keep going over layer upon layer upon layer until you get it where you want it to be. How thick you might want it, how thin. I mean, I have some videos up. If you want to go back to some of my first videos of my fairy gardens, I showed how to make some of the trees. It's really easy. They come out really cool. And then you paint them. But as you see right there, I don't know if you guys can see it yet. Right there, you're getting a crinkle. See how those effects are? They're going into where the tape was, and now them are all going to build up, and slowly, as they crinkle, you're going to get all these neat little effects in here on this paper. And by crinkling it, when you get down to the last ones, that gives you the bark effect. And that bark effect is really cool because that's what, when you paint it, that's going to be your highlights of your dark and your light. You're going to paint it dark first. The whole tree is going to be painted black. And then we're going to start going with lighter colors over the top of that. And that dark colors on the inside will stay in there and give me depth to that tree like a bark. So we'll get to that part later. Right now I'm just going to keep going with this, and I'll come back. I'm trying to make this video short, simple, and short. if it gets to be too long, this is probably going to be an hour video total to get the tree together. So I'll break it down into like a half-hour segments. One half will be building it, the other half will be painting it. So I'll be back in a few, guys, after I get this covered, and I'll show you guys what we did. I mean, this is simple paper mache, guys. Just glue, water, and some paper, and then go crazy on it, and just keep wrapping it until you get it to where you want it to be. Mine's going to be quite a bit bigger, so that's why I don't want to sit here and have you guys watch me just wrap it in paper, because you're talking about 20 minutes of just doing that. And I don't like to fast forward stuff. I'd rather sit down and explain to you guys what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So yeah, let me just get these wrapped around there. We'll let her go. You can always set this to make it work better too, is once I get it done, I set it by the heater or some heat or a blow dryer. I mean, something, heat gun, and you'll do it, and that'll start drying it harder and faster for you if you want. Or just let it sit overnight. If you leave it sit, it takes about 24 hours and it's hard and it's paintable then. And what happens is with the glue on this paper, that gives you a really nice paintable surface then. It's nice and smooth, it's crinkly, the paint sticks really well to it. You'll see as we go. And same with the brown paper, that's why I use that. It's cheap. A bag of these are, I think I got these at the dollar store for $1 or less. So, I mean, all the stuff you can buy basically at the dollar store, what you need, and except, like I said, the wire you find at home. You'll see the other stuff I use. The only thing you can't is the airbrush. I went out and spent $15, I think, on my airbrush, and I just use my big compressor, and I run it off that and keep it low. And you guys will get to see that then. I'll put music to that when I paint it because it's really loud. So, let me get this done. We'll be back later. Okay, guys. As you see, we've gotten a little bit bigger here. She's gotten some shape compared to that skinny little scrawny thing we had when we started out. But we still got to go I still want to go a little bit more, maybe one more. This is probably 4 layers of paper, and that's one complete layer this way, and then another one on top, and another one on top, and then also maybe like 5 because I put a layer of napkins over the top. But what I want to show you guys is when we get to this point here is when you want to start thinking about your texture. Paper towels, toilet paper, anything at the end. If you can see, let's see, yeah, you can see if I got the light. The creases and crinkles, like I was talking about, those are what's going to shrink and cause it as you do it. And it don't hurt every once in a while just to give it a little squeeze and give it some indentation. I mean, you don't want to do it too hard. You just want to give it a little, and whatever gives in and crinkles and creases, great. Same time, make sure your paper is nice and crinkly. And I wanted to show you guys something. I didn't get my glue ready yet. Okay, well, we'll do that in a minute. But when you start to get down to your last layers, don't band it around like this. You're going to put creases where each paper lays on top, and those will be visible later. So that's something you don't want to do. What you want to do is you want to start up at like a point here or go on a point angle that way. Depends on what you're going to work on next. Like I'm getting ready to do the branches here, and I want to slowly build up to this point, so I'm getting up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working down here where all my starts are going to be here at different points. And then I'm going to lead it around and using the contour of the paper without creasing it too much. You got a lot of tension, so you want to take that tension out to where it lays flat. Draw it down, get your idea where you're going to go, and then just bring it up here. And as you bring it up there, you're going to wrap around a branch. As you see, it starts to build up your branches and gives you that shape up here for your top of your tree. And then your branches are going to slowly get bigger and bigger and thicker. And then at that point is when we're going to incorporate our little branches. Our limbs, branches on the limbs. But basically that's what you want right there. And then just keep doing it. And I'll take another piece and go the opposite way maybe. Or wrap it around to where you're filling in them grooves and then go the opposite way the next time. So what's happening is you're pulling them together, but you're leaving, these lines are going to hide a lot better. And then at the very end, I recommend taking toilet paper, paper towels. Those dissolve when they get wet. They basically turn to mush and break down enough that they mat down to where there will be no lines of, and usually at the end that's what I do, is finish it off with the napkin, paper towel, whatever I got, and then, like I said, that's when you're going to get your really good bark texture also on there, as you see. I mean, you can see the lines, some great texture right there. And that's just that's not even my finished coat. And what happens is when the glue dries, you get them really nice creases like that. And that gives you that natural look. When you paint this, as you'll see, that natural look really comes out of it on its own. You don't even have to do it. It happens on its own. So the bark will happen on its own. The branches, same thing. As you do them, just make sure that you don't ever have any pieces sticking out. You don't want any tabs. You're going to finish these off with the paper towels or whatever at the same thing. So when you do it, you want to remember that to finish these off at the same texture, and you'll get the same thing all the way down. I'll show you guys as we go. Like I said, I'm doing small segments. I'm going to go ahead and wrap a couple more good layers on here. And what I've been doing is I'll do 1 or 2 layers, and then I'll put it in front of a heater. You can take a blow dryer, you can take a heat gun, whatever you got, just something to warm it up and let it dry a little bit before you keep adding too much texture or too many layers. Because what's going to happen is it's just going to turn to mush, and it's going to just want to like and fall down. You don't want that. You want it to stay that stiff, tightness. So what you're basically going to do is just dry it up or even leave it set, like I said, between the layers as you do it. If you want to leave it dry for a couple hours, so you know it's touchable, that you can you can touch and you can feel it dry. But like I said, the heater works really good. A hair dryer would work good. Just basically to get rid of that heavy moisture out of it, because you're putting so much water and glue on there. And it's paper mache. I mean, if you've ever done paper mache, the more you do to it, it just turns to mush after a while. And then you're going to just start squashing everything and deforming it. So keep your shape. Like I said, that's what I'm doing. I got, like I said, 5 or 6 layers on there probably. And I'm going to put another, well, this stack here. That's 1 more bag. So I've used 1 bag on it already, and this will be my 2nd bag so far, just to get to this size. And I'm thinking that's pretty much going to do it. And then I'm going to start working the branches and the roots, incorporating all my limbs, all my feeding roots, and then we will be adding the lights in between that, in between them layers there then. So I'll show you guys that part there coming up. Okay, so later for now. Okay guys, here we are now. Now we have it all covered in foil, just about. But I wanted to show you guys a little something here. When you do the foil part here, you want to bring your foil up from underneath, go on your branch, get your wire like in the middle, right there, somewhat. And what I do is with these wires, so they don't poke through, is just bend them back a little bit. And then squeeze your foil around it. Now this here, like I said, does not, you want it all to be whatever, however it comes out, it comes out. Don't be particular if it's like, oh, it didn't smash good, it don't matter. You're just going to form this into a branch by squishing it and squashing it, and then sort of flatten out the end. You don't really want a pointed branch, you know what I'm saying? You don't want it come to a direct point. You can see all mine are like blunt, different shapes. Just give it a little push with your finger. If your wire's sticking out, bend it over. You can always go through and snip them off at the end with something. That's what I wanted to show you guys, is to make sure that you're getting all the way to that end and you're squaring up them branches a little bit to give it some kind of a, so you just put the wire in the middle. I like to wrap the foil around the back of the branch, so that way it gives me that shape of it coming off the branch, and then just squash it around, squash it, give it a flat top, give it a twist, do whatever. It's not going to hurt it. I mean, you can still twist these, bend these, whatever you want to do. Even when you get them paper mache, you're going to be able to twist them and move them. That's the nice part. That's why we're doing this in just a foil. So let's do another one here. Same with this one. I'm going to do 2 pieces here. I cut that too short. So you get it up on there, you squash it, you squish it, get it around the wire, and you bend that wire down over that. I'll take a small piece and go up and over and fold it right over that edge. Even fold them over the edge if you can. Works really good because it sort of gives you a flat, choppy piece. I like that. This sticky foil is not as fun to work with as regular foil. Regular foil works way better. This stuff here is just a little hard to work with. By the time you pull it out, I mean, this took me probably about a half hour to do all these. And that's just because it's, you gotta peel that tape off, fight with the backing, and foil you can just grab by pieces, small little pieces here and there, and just rip them into little pieces and squash them around it, and that's that much quicker. I did find this a lot harder. So yeah, what we're going to do is then, all this is going to get paper mache here now. So once you get them like this, then you're going to go through, cover them in glue, cover them in your paper mache, whatever you're using. Toilet paper, whatever, tissue paper, it don't matter. But this is the point where you're going to get it all covered and keep this texture. When you do that, what will come back, but your foil, see how it's giving it all them bumps and textures and all that. Now all that's going to show through on my tissue paper, and them are all going to definitely be the contour on the outside of my thing. Now I'm going to come out here and branch this part because it got sunk in a little bit. You can see I got the bottom to do yet, little things that I got to touch up. But the bottom sort of, we got some little indents where it looks a little shallow like there. So we're going to enlarge this base a little bit so it's more even. It's not bad. I'm not disliking it. Just my computer. Yeah, and then go through, get your branches. Now you got them all, and you can see, like I said, there's what our top's going to be. And then these are still going to be formed yet. We haven't formed them yet. I've just been pulling them out so I can get to them, so I can do them. Get the foil over them. And then we're going to go ahead and get the tissue paper, get that on, let that dry. And then it'll be pretty close ready for painting. And I'll show you guys how we're going to incorporate the paint, the lights on it then, for now. Okay, so later.